There's a couple of questions immediately on traces. It says at the start it was stated to enter the nomenclature code on the screen. I cannot find where to begin this step on my traces account. I do not believe my account is giving me the option to begin the creation of consignment. Wonder, can you give any insight to this?
I will be able to check your account after the fact, so I will be onto that user directly, Peter.
Okay. The next question is, we have no vets on site. We are not a meat processor. This is nothing particularly about what we're doing today. I suggest, Lee Tracy, that you contact us directly, and we'll try and answer your questions. It's not really anything to do with what we're doing today. It's one of the questions, Jared. Can you then rename the draft copy on traces?
So yes, when you copy as new, each individual instance that you've saved as a draft will get its own traces draft code on traces. And as I said, you can also enter a local reference code. So say if you had one particular order type that was repeating week to week, you'd put in the order code of your own food business onto the traces site just so that you could identify it quickly. And then on traces, you can actually input that code to bring up that consignment.
Okay, there's another question here. If the transporter uses subcontractors, do I enter the transporter only and not his subcontractor? I would imagine that this is an export health certificate that will be presented at the border inspection post in the UK. If the transporter, the details of the transporter are not those that are carrying the load, well, then there could be trouble. Would you like to answer that, Kevin?
Thank you, Peter. The transporter that is actually carrying the load is the transporter that must be entered, not the main transporter.
Okay,
it's
that's fine.
Subcontractor must be entered.
Yeah. It says, hi, can we get a recording of this webinar? Yes, this will be available on the gov.ie website eventually. Will the website become fully functional by October? We all hope it will. We are doing our best to try and make sure it will do. How is the EHC issued by the local veterinary office, in paper or the electronic format? My understanding is that when the EHC is signed off and completed, it will be printed off in the veterinary office. It will be then signed and stamped by the official veterinarian, and he or she will then email a PDF copy back to the food business. That's the way I can see the majority of these export health certificates being created. That it'll be signed off remotely, and a PDF copy will be emailed back to the food business. And if they need the original cert, arrangements will have to be made either to collect it or to have it collected somewhere where it is mutually suitable for both people. There's a question here from Joe Ryan. Peter, can you confirm for the attendees, please, that the truck reg number will no longer be required when completing traces? Instead, the fridge container number can be entered.
Peter, can I come in there?
Yeah, of course, please.
Yeah. No, I think the truck number is a requirement on the cert for the BCP, but what we're hoping is that we need to get clarification on this from GB, and it will be part of the trials. That particularly if you're using a groupage model and you don't know the truck number, you can put in the truck number that the consignment is leaving the premises on, on the cert. This may conflict with the actual truck number that arrives at the BCP, but as long as the truck number is correct on the IPAFS notification, then that will be okay. But you do need a truck number, and if the goods are in a container, you need the container number.
Okay, thanks, Lorna. Another question here is, will there be training completed for composite products, particularly for food supplements? And the answer is yes. We will be having training for composite products, specific training for composite products. But there's a trial run for composite products, and we're going to have that first before we do any training, because it's all a bit of a mystery at the moment how it's all going to work. So hopefully after the training, we will get some insight into how it operates. There's another question. Is there a training environment for Traces Classic? Yes, there is a training environment, but it's not really accessible. The best thing you can do is do it on the live system, but don't actually issue the certs, delete them afterwards. That's what I do.
Yeah, no, I'll jump in on that one, Peter, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a training site available, but unfortunately, while we have made complaints previously about the non-functionality of the live site, the only cert, British cert on the training site currently is the bovine fresh meat cert. So as Peter explained there, the live site is the site that you should operate on in advance of October the 1st.
Where we are a secondary processor who does not send CMRs to GB customers, in the reference section, what do we upload? The delivery docket. Anybody like to take that?
Hi Peter, I'll jump in there again. Jared McCallig speaking. So the references section, what must be uploaded there is quite simply the information that was used to generate that particular consignment, so that DAFM officials can verify the details that have been entered as correct. So if it's not a CMR and it's a commercial docket or delivery docket, that's perfectly acceptable as long as we have the ability to verify the information that we will be certifying.
If the delivery docket contains all the information about the load, well then that's fine. But if it doesn't, well then it's not much use because there can be no verification from it. Okay, must the original signed copy accompany the consignment? At the moment, the UK say yes, it must, but they will not be doing very many checks from the 1st of October, but they will be doing 1% of checks from the 1st of January. And they say they will require the original signed copy. And we are currently negotiating with the UK, which is always a difficult job, to get them to accept an electronic signed copy, especially during COVID times. So their stated objective is that the original signed copy must accompany the consignment. The next question is, what are the differences for importing from the UK, and is that also October the 1st? We're not experts now on importing stuff from the UK, but my understanding is it's from the 1st of January this year that the importing stuff from the UK in.
Yeah, Peter, that's correct. And just to also say that there have been changes since April the 21st to the animal health law around composite product certification. But again, that's not really our area of expertise. We're dealing with exports here. But if you want further clarification on anything, maybe if you submit your question in more detail to us, and we can try and have somebody who's more expert in the area answer it for you. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Again, will the original health certs be required to accompany the load? I've just explained that. Will there be access to vets to support out-of-hours certification requirements? That is something we've discussed on the last webinar. the current position is that the food industry operates 24/7. The Department of Agriculture currently operates office hours. So we understand that we will have to go somewhere towards 24/7, but we will not be going towards 24/7. So the food industry will have to come a little bit towards us. So that's currently a bit up in the air, and there have been no decisions on that yet. If we have an account on Traces NT, do we need to register on Traces Classic separately? Yes. If yes, who do we need to contact? I think, Jared, you will give them that information.
Yeah, Peter. So the email that you contact if you want to register your food business operator to Traces Classic is traces, TRACES VPHIS reg at agriculture.gov.ie. That's to register your food business. If your food business has already been registered and you wish to register a user, you go to the Traces website and you can register as a user there.
Okay, I hope that was clear. It's traces.vphis or traces-vphis-reg at agriculture.gov.ie. So the next question is, does Traces Classic recognize the consigners from Traces NT?
I'll take that again, Peter. And no, unfortunately, there is plans in place to export the full Traces Classic database to NT, but it hasn't happened yet. So you do need to be registered on both sites independently of one another.
Okay. And there's another question. Can we mix 2 or more CN codes on the one EHC? That is, again, Jared, I'll let you take that because it's a bit tricky, that question.
Yeah, so ultimately, yes. As we said, as of today, only the 4-digit CN codes are working. However, ultimately, and we hope this will be in place, all of the CN codes that are appropriate to each certificate will be functional in full. So when you have chosen your first CN code, say it was 02, 01, 1000, you can then on the Traces website assign and add new code. It is an option that will be available to you, and once you click on assign and add new code, you will see all of the other CN codes that are applicable to that cert. So you should be able come October the 1st to mix more than 2 CN codes to an expert health certificate, but ultimately both CN codes have to actually apply. The products that those CN codes apply to have to apply to the same cert.
Okay. The next question is, will small individual online shipments require individual certs? That is, again, groupage, and the answer is yes. Are there any exemptions or reduced export health certificates for small quantities, e.g. 50 kilograms of honey on truck of 20,000 kilograms, where balance does not require export health certificate? Lorna, would you like to answer that? I'm not sure about that.
I'm not aware of any exemptions. So
no, I'm not either.
I would require certification. We can clarify that, but I would imagine it would require certification.
Yeah. And it's not, by the way, it's not us that requires the certification. It's the UK Border Inspection Post that requires it. It's not the Department of Agriculture, just to let you know. And the next question is, when will all CN codes be live on Traces Classic? And that is a good question. If we knew that, we'd know a lot and we'd be able to tell you, but we don't know. As I said at the very start, we have put several queries into the Traces website, people, and we haven't got very satisfactory answers. So we're asking the Chief Veterinary Office, the CVO, the Chief Veterinary Officer, to bring it up at a high level within the EU to see if they can give us some guarantees. So that's the current arrangement. The next question, is there an arrangement for sending samples or customer courtesy packs to the UK? Not to my knowledge. There's no specific arrangement.
No, I agree, Peter. That I think they require, once they're for human consumption, they require certification.
Yeah. I'm just going to flick back here. I don't think I've missed any questions. There's a lot of them. I think I've got them all. Another question just in. If GB did not delay the SPS checks until 1st of the 10th, 21, how would we have managed without all CN codes on Traces Classic? That's a good question, David Brett, and it's one I've asked myself because they were supposed to be up and all. The whole Traces system was supposed to be up and running on the 1st of April this year, and I think it would have been an unmitigated disaster, but that's not what happened. They did delay it, so hopefully it will be up and running by the 1st of October. I don't see any more questions in there. Again, we will be having more training sessions, and if you have any specific, like that somebody requested a specific composite products training, and we will do that. That will be probably one of the next things that we will do. And if there's any specific training sessions that you'd like us to undertake, please let us know. Okay. Seeing as there are no more questions and we have all we've done what we said to do. Again, as I remind everybody that a recording of this training session will be available on the gov.ie website eventually. There's another just question in, do we need to register for the composite products training? Do we need to register for the composite product? Well, whenever we do have a composite products training webinar, it will be the same process. There'll be an invitation will go out and you can register the same way as you registered for this one. Mail orders, how do they work? That's another question from Sally Barnes, and I have no idea how mail orders will work. Does anybody know how mail orders will work?
No, it may be in the new Brexit manual, border manual that the UK are publishing. I don't know if they have covered, I haven't looked at it, whether they've covered mail order, because mail order is, if it wasn't covered by certification, it would be a way of getting stuff in the back door, and I'm sure they will not want that. So, but it wasn't in the previous border manual, so I'm not sure whether they'll be covering it.
Yeah, it's probably a question we need to ask the GB. How do they want us to do that? And then again, maybe we don't want to know. Because if we ask, they'd say, oh, we never thought of that, and then they bring in some really ridiculous thing. What period of notice required for export health certificates needed to vet office, please, and expected turnaround times? We calculate roughly that my division, which is the Veterinary Public Health Implementation Division, and the vets in the field will be doing upwards of 1,200 certs a day. So the more notice you give, the more checking that can be done, the better the turnaround times. We have asked that you give us as much time as possible, because if something has to be checked and this documentation has to be checked, that all takes time. So we would expect it to be a two-stage process whereby you would know what's going to be exported. Say today is Thursday, next Tuesday you would know, so you could put that up as a cert in progress, and then at the very end all you need to do is add the details like the truck number and the total weight and things like that. So the more time we get, the better. We were notified of today's training from our environmental health officer. For next training, can we be added to the list to register? Sure, we'll do our best. If we have your email address, we will do that. So that's about it. There's no more questions. Anything else to say, Lorna?
No, not really, Peter, but just to say, just to follow up on what Jared said in his presentation, it's very important to start engaging with Traces now, because there's a lot you can do, and it is a difficult system to navigate at first. So it's very important that you get used to filling things in on it and saving, and copying is new, because it will stand to you on the 1st of October. So I suppose the message is, make sure you're registered on Traces Classic, make sure you have adequate users registered on Traces Classic, and make sure that you start engaging with the system and start putting in your consigners, your transporters, your consignees, so that they're all there waiting for you when you have to actually complete the process on the 1st of October. And just to say thanks to you all for attending today.
Okay, thanks, Lorna. And another very important thing is to have more than one person trained in your office, because if Johnny is sick, there mightn't be anybody if he's the only person that knows how to navigate around Traces, or if he's the only person. So the more people you have registered, the more people you have trained, and the more people that know what they're doing. And that's one of the things we've already encountered in it, that there's differences in ability with regard to computer skills and knowing where to flick around and how to do it. Some people are very good, some people not so much. So anyway, thank you very much again, and I would say hope you all have a safe journey home, but probably a lot of you are at home, or if you're not home, you're probably going home soon anyway. Okay, listen, thanks very much, and I'll now call this webinar to a close. Thanks very much, and bye.